This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 738. Thanks for listening. Make sure that you're checking us out on Amazon Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you're listening to podcasts. Make sure that you subscribe, download, and give us a 5-star rating to go with that 5-star frog splash. Check us out at markinout.com. Give us a like on Facebook because why not? Also, follow us on Instagram at markinout11, Twitter at markinout, TikTok at markinout. You can buy a t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. You can also follow me, one of your hosts, Dave the Rave, on all social media platforms at DavidPTDPT. You can follow Chris on all social media platforms at Chris Sweendog and CMSweeney85. That is Twitter and Instagram. And you should also follow Brandon on all social media platforms at BTTG161. Hey, I'm here with another host. His name is Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing awesome as always. How about yourself?
Doing great. Very tired. How was your week?
It was fine. I went to Fogo again for the market table, which it's okay, but I feel like in order for it to be more worth it to me, they need to add more things to it, and I don't see them doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what I did this week. How about yourself?
I would totally go to Fogo.
Yeah, but I only go for the market table.
Not too much. Huh?
I only go right now for the market table. I don't need the meat. The meat is over salted.
Yeah, nobody wants the meat overly salted like that.
And I'll probably end up going in May for my birthday because you get the free gimmick.
What's the free gimmick?
The free churrascaria experience.
Well, how can you deny
We're
the
not free.
Experience?
I think they give you like $25 off or something like that.
All right, nice. So let's get on to it. Let's talk about some Monday Night Raw, kicking off with JC himself. That's right, John Cena, coming out to the booze again.
Yeah, and he brought up that pathetic kid from last week, which I thought was hilarious. And it was met with a chant that we can't say on this show. But
yeah.
He brought up how the fans use profanity, and they also make all these memes with that kid. And basically how everyone made fun of him, John Cena himself, and hated the Spinner Championship. And that was one of their biggest mistakes in admitting that. So now that he knows that, he's going to ruin pro wrestling for everyone and win the championship at WrestleMania, get number 17, erase Ric Flair, and then retire with that championship. A, I'm pretty sure the IWC already ruined pro wrestling. And B, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would be more than happy with that record being erased.
Yeah, I agree. I think that with John Cena, I really did love the fact how he just said, like, over the years, he studied each and every one of them. He studied the chants, he studied their maneuvers, he studied how they were reacting to him. And
that's why he followed everybody on Twitter. He followed everyone. He's been watching all of us.
He didn't follow me.
I mean, he followed Markin Out.
Yeah, but he doesn't follow me. But that's besides the point. Follow me, John. Follow me.
So Cody Rhodes came out,
me.
And John Cena, he said that John Cena made the mistake of saying that while Cody was in the building. And he threw the championship down at John Cena, and he's like, take it. And then they both dropped their mics as if they were about to square up. John Cena left. very heel move to do. He left. And Cody Rhodes said that's exactly how John Cena is going to walk out of WrestleMania and out of WWE.
I like the fact how, like, he did get out of the ring and he started walking away, and then for a moment he turned back, and then he was just like, no.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I'm a big fan of this, and I'm intrigued.
First match of Monday Night Raw saw the Usos reunite, picking up the victory over A-Town Down Under. And I think it would have been a much bigger deal had they not been in Scotland with everybody thinking that his big mystery partner was going to be Joe Hendry. I feel like this could have been set up somewhere else where we didn't have to wait to see that it was going to be Jimmy Uso tagging with him.
I'm not... What did you think about... Like, all right, so you thought it would have been great if it was Joe Hendry.
I mean, everyone thought it was going to be Joe Hendry.
Mm-hmm.
Clap,
and
clap.
It would have made a ton of sense if it was Joe Hendry. But with it being Jimmy Uso, so I go back and forth. So they had Jimmy. It's kind of like they were stuck in a difficult position because when he came out right behind Jey Uso. No switching over to his theme song or anything like that. You barely, if you were in the audience and you were paying attention to Jay, you didn't even notice that Jimmy was coming up behind him.
I feel like if you see Jimmy walking out after Jay, you would know automatically who that is.
Of course, but nobody was really paying attention to it. You know, he came up besides him, and it was like a surprise that it was Jimmy. But it kind of stinks that they couldn't cut the theme song because it's the Yeet music. You got to play that through.
Yeah.
You know, you can't cut it to, even if whoever it was, you have to continue to play.
I wouldn't say whoever it is, because if it was Joe Hendry, you're playing his theme song.
The only way to go about it was if Jey Uso got into the ring. Well, what should have happened is Jey Uso get into the ring, and just do even a 5-second, 10-second thing on the mic, being like, just have everybody eat and be like, and I'm going to introduce to you my tag team partner or something like that. And then you can switch over to the theme song of Jimmy Uso.
I think it would have been, you have to go to midway and then change it. Have Jay cut the promo right on the ramp to get the full Uso experience.
Yeah.
You could still have them yeet in the ring, but it was your typical Uso match, but it wasn't one-sided. They hit the 1D on Austin Theory to win the match. I was happy seeing the Usos wrestle, but like I said, expecting Joe Hendry and getting Jimmy Uso, I don't think that needed to be like a huge, like, who is this going to be?
Yeah.
But Gunther showed up afterwards, and he brawled with Jey Uso, and Jay slipped when he went for the spear, and Gunther pounced on him and left when Jimmy got back into the ring with a chair. The slip spot I thought was brilliant because it ties him to missing the dive last week. It ties it to Gunther being in his head.
I agree with you. I think that it was really intelligent. At first I didn't get it, but the more that, like, you brought it up to me and everything, I'm like, oh, that makes sense that he's in his head right now.
And afterwards, later on, Jay was getting a pep talk by Jimmy. Kind of. Mm-hmm. He told him if he keeps slipping up, he won't be able to beat Gunther. And Jay was like, I know that. And I don't know if I can beat Gunther. And Jimmy was like, not this version of you. I need the right-hand man. I need the main event Jey Uso to do this. I need that Jey Uso who won that Royal Rumble. And then Jimmy, right around the corner, challenges Gunther for a match next week. And Gunther said as long as he doesn't trip and fall like Jay, then Jimmy slapped the absolute hell out of Gunther.
That was such a slap.
That might be one of the top 10 slaps of all time in pro wrestling.
I mean, the noise that it made.
Yeah.
That was incredible, you know? And the fact that he didn't even react to it.
Jimmy's path to WrestleMania right now is losing to Gunther next week.
Yeah.
After that, we saw Lyra Valkyria pick up the victory over Raquel Rodriguez to retain the Intercontinental Championship. I liked how confident Liv Morgan was and how she'd get super pissed off when things weren't going her way in this match.
Mm-hmm.
Well, going Raquel's way, I should say. But Raquel Rodriguez was very dominant in this. Liv, at one point, got involved to break a pin. We saw Lyra attempt the Nightwing 3 times. The first time she fell over due to exhaustion. The second and third times, Raquel just got out of it. And then Lyra ends up having to take Liv Morgan out. She rolled through to pin Raquel Rodriguez. And that didn't... I mean, she won the match, but they beat her down after that.
Yeah, at what cost?
And then Bayley made the save, and I feel like it'll maybe lead to them teaming up to fight for the titles at WrestleMania instead of the Intercontinental Championship being defended.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem more likely than having the Intercontinental Championship defended on WrestleMania?
I guess it has to be because you need Liv on the card too. You know, you need Liv in a match.
Yeah.
No, okay. I'm down with the tag team match.
You had Adam Pearce come out for the contract talks, and he said that Rhea Ripley had no right to sign the contract last week. She's not in the match at WrestleMania, which the fans booed heavily for that. And Adam Pearce said that Rhea Ripley is owed a rematch, but she wants it on her own terms. He's not doing that. And then Io came out and said that it doesn't matter who she faces at WrestleMania. She'll take both of them on at WrestleMania. It doesn't matter to Io. She's still walking out as champion. Adam Pearce went to speak again. Bianca Belair interrupted and said that she's not letting Rhea Ripley just weasel her way into this match. She didn't earn it like Bianca Belair did.
What I don't get is why Rhea Ripley would want to be in on this match. Like, if she has a rematch whenever she wants it, or, like, when it's on Adam Pearce's terms, but why would you want it in a triple threat?
I guess
like
because,
odds.
technically you could use that to your advantage to be like, I can now use weapons. Not that
True.
Rhea Ripley is somebody who historically uses weapons like that.
I mean, you'll get the spot through the table.
Who knows? But Adam Pearce went to speak again. Rhea Ripley came out. They pushed Io again. And Adam Pearce, he's had enough. He yelled at them and said that Rhea Ripley gets her rematch next week on Monday Night Raw. The winner faces Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. And then Io took both of them out. Belair eventually hits a KOD onto Io over the top rope to take Rhea down. And then, to make matters worse, Adam Pearce makes Bianca Belair a special guest referee for that match.
Like, did we not learn anything?
It's leading to a triple threat.
Yeah.
And I still think it's going to have to be the main event.
I disagree about it being a main event. 100%.
I know you say that. You're saying that for week after week now. I think it has to be.
I think it definitely does not have to be.
My main event plans for last year got absolutely canceled due to what they had to have in the main event spots last year. I think Bayley and Io absolutely deserved main event, but then you had The Rock step in to wrestle. You had to give him the main event.
I'm sorry, your dreams, shattered dreams again. I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. After that, or earlier in the night, they aired a vignette for El Grande Americano, which I thought was hilarious. I thought it was a great presentation. People were pissed off that they used AI art to make it look like this person was real. But they included Blue Demon, they included the Guerreros, Mil Mascaras, and spoke about how El Grande Americano was at one point on top of that industry for decades and just disappeared. And now he's back in pro wrestling, and he's the newest signee to Monday Night Raw.
Imagine being a young kid watching that and being like, oh, I never even knew that. That makes sense. Like, just being a young kid and just having no clue and just believe in it.
I don't know if kids are that dumb, though. Especially the follow-up to that video was the LWO being like, what the hell is this? We know that's Chad Gable. We know who that is. And they question Adam Pearce about it.
He had a note.
Yeah, apparently a real doctor's note.
Yeah.
But Rey Mysterio said that it was Chad Gable. That's when Chad Gable walked in, like you said, denying it, sick with a little cough and everything. And then Chad Gable suggested Dragon Lee step up to face El Grande Americano instead of him facing Rey Mysterio because he's sick. And then you push forward to the main event, the match itself, where El Grande Americano picked up the victory over Dragon Lee. Right from the start, I popped for the presentation. His theme song was a Stars and Stripes Forever mariachi version. I thought that was very well done to have.
Mm-hmm.
But Americano untied Dragon Lee's mask during this. I enjoyed what they actually did in the match. I liked that springboard reversal into the Northern Light suplex that Dragon Lee did. I also...
Yeah, they actually did a lot of great things during this matchup.
Or was that Chad Gable that did the Northern Lights? Now I don't remember.
El Grande Americano.
Right, sorry. I popped at him using Gracias and Silencio in the match. Because obviously if you don't speak Spanish, that means thank you, and shoosh. Technically not, but...
He is doing a very great job in the ring as Lucha Libre style.
Yeah.
I know.
And I enjoyed this match. That double stomp in the Trio Woe from Dragon Lee was nice, and they did a 10 count spot, but they didn't have it where it ended the match. So spots like that for me are fine. They went chop for chop. Those chops were nuts. That overhead belly to belly into the corner to Dragon Lee, I thought that was nuts also.
Yeah, a ton of great spots, all leading to Americano ripping off the mask of Dragon Lee.
Yeah, he went for that double stomp again, and there goes the mask. El Grande Americano locked him in the ankle lock to get the victory there.
Mm-hmm.
So
next up, you had the main event of the evening. Braun Breaker picking up the victory to Penta, but it was by disqualification.
So Braun Breaker retains.
Yeah, Braun Breaker retains.
Again, earlier in the night, we saw Dominic Mysterio offer a spot to Penta into the Judgment Day and said that you could walk out of Monday Night Raw as champion. And Braun Breaker said he wasn't concerned with the Judgment Day at all. They showed up during the match. Take them out of it for right now. As far as the match goes, I liked a lot of they had a lot of good reversals in this match from both of them. Especially, I liked the reversal when Penta was able to stop Braun Breaker's speed. I thought that was very well done. Breaker countered the Mexican Destroyer with a military press into his knees. And then he went for a spear, which Penta reversed that. And Penta eventually did hit that Mexican Destroyer. Braun Breaker kicked out of that. And when he went for that Penta driver, Braun got out of that and eventually leads to a Frankensteiner. And then he sets up for a spear again, and the Judgment Day got involved. They jump Braun Breaker. Carlito ends up eating a spear. And Dominic Mysterio attacked Braun Breaker. Finn Balor showed up, cracked Braun Breaker with a steel chair. And then Finn Balor gave the chair to Dominic to use. Dom used the chair. And then Dom handed it to Penta. And Penta hit Dom with it instead. And then Balor attacked Penta.
Dom a little bit too trustworthy of Penta.
I thought we were going to see Sheamus.
Why?
Just to add him into this potential fatal five-way?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see it being just Braun Breaker versus Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor versus Penta. I don't know when you're getting Sheamus in there. If you are, who knows?
True.
Moving over to NXT, it opened up with Stephanie Vaquer picking up the victory over Jada Parker to retain the NXT Championship. And I thought it was very interesting that they opened with the NXT Championship instead of the North American Championship. But I thought this was a pretty good match.
I kind of like that they opened with this.
Yeah. It makes the championship feel like the spotlight is on.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this was a good match. Jordan Grace showed up, which distracted Jada Parker a bit. And it eventually led into the end where Stephanie Vaquer rolled her up to just get that win.
I like that we had the distraction playing a factor in this. And Jada Parker, I think, came out of this looking strong.
I'm not so sure if I like the distractions or not.
Mm-hmm.
But you had Fatal Influence attack Stephanie Vaquer afterwards, so that really injured her, leading to a match later on, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
After that, you had Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe picking up the victory over Hank and Tank. Big surprise return to NXT right before this match. We saw the Motor City Machine Guns, the return being Alex Shelley. I don't know why they were there. I really don't. But
I mean, I guess they're going to start doing some NXT matches again.
I think they were just giving them a pep talk beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
But this started during a commercial break. It was quite chaotic to the point where the referee had no control over them. So I didn't like that. Wesley got involved and gained them the upper hand. You had Hank eventually get the hot tag, and Tank and he took over the match. Wesley got involved again, though, to distract the referee, and that all led to the end of the match. Later on, Motor City Machine Guns gave Hank and Tank a pep talk. So they want to learn from... I mean, we saw them with the Hardy Boys. They're doing it with Motor City Machine Guns now. I don't know where that's going to lead to, but that's two outside interferences back to back. I don't like when they do that.
Yeah, true. Very true, very true. I do think that Hank and Tank are going to be tag team champions pretty soon.
I definitely don't think so.
No. Next up, you have Lexis King pick up the victory over Javon Evans by countout, though, to retain that Heritage Cup.
This one again. I should say, first of all, I enjoyed the match for what they were doing before the outside gimmicks happened. That Falcon Arrow Fisherman gimmick that Lexis King did, I thought was really cool. I don't know what to call it. That's the only way I could describe it. I thought the frog splash from Javon Evans, he went like super high up in the air. It seemed like super far. I thought that was nice. But Javon Evans dove to the outside and Obafemi showed up. With the distraction from Lexis King and the referee being distracted there, Obafemi power bombed Javon Evans. And then Oba got in the ring to fight with Javon. Dark State showed up. Trick Williams got involved. It was broken up. I did not like that Lexis King got the win off of that distraction and the count out there. Because that's now 3 in a row. But with the aftermath, with Dark State showing up, you said who was the leader you were thinking last week? Did you say Trick Williams?
Trick Williams.
Now it seems like, I mean, it seems more likely now that it's like they showed up and then he showed up. So you could be right there.
I mean, it seems like it.
After that, you had Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan pick up the victory over Metaphor. Metaphor was annoyed that they're getting a match on TNA and not them. So I think that match happens probably right now as we're recording. But Sol Ruka and Zarya came out to watch this, which I'm very glad that they didn't do anything in the actual match because, like I said, the previous 3 freaking matches, all outside interference, and I can't stand when they do that. Pick one freaking match and have it. Not 3 in a row, not 2 in a row, just one. Just do one. I hate when they do that. But Lash and Jakara accidentally ran into one another, and it led to Tatum Paxley getting the victory there. So at least Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan are getting victories on TV. I don't know where Shotzi is.
I mean, I think with them just showing up on TNA, I feel like they have to pick up this victory.
I think so, too.
I don't know. It made sense to me that they picked up the victory and everything like that.
But I don't even know. They didn't even mention where Shotzi is. We haven't seen her in a few weeks.
True. Next up, you had a sit-down interview with Ricky Saints.
I find
Ricky
it very
Saints.
difficult to say Saints.
I know. It takes a little moment. You have to kind of like, you get to Ricky, and then you're like, okay, you have to pause.
But the sit-down interview, without mentioning Shawn Spears by name, an answer was definitely about him. And he showed up and said that the reason he didn't ask him to join his group was because his arrogance is a plague. And he just makes enemies everywhere he goes. And then Ricky Saints said that he's coming for the championship, and Shawn Spears threatened him with the culling. And then you fast forward to the match where Ethan Page picks up a victory over Andre Chase. That stemmed from an earlier segment. Ricky Saints ends up showing up and cutting Ethan Page off during his entrance just to go sit on commentary, which I thought that was a very interesting move there. But obviously I think they're going to be doing something with Ricky Saints and Ethan Page.
Yeah, they have to, especially everything that's been playing up to it.
But you had Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors out there with Andre Chase, hyping him up big time, getting him to do the old Chase U gimmicks and stuff. I don't think it was Andre Chase's match to win. So I think it was like an obvious victory for Ethan Page there.
Yeah, it was just going to be what else can take place besides the victory.
And I also don't recall Ricky Saints even like talking that much on commentary. So it was interesting that they had him cut Ethan Page off there and then go sit on commentary. And then Shawn Spears attacked Ricky Saints after the match.
Yeah.
We're getting an AEW trio here, brawl for some reason. I don't know what they're doing, but we'll find out soon, I hope.
Yeah, we're going to find out soon. Next up, the main event of the evening, we have Stephanie Vaquer pick up the victory over Fallon Henley to retain that North American Championship. I was surprised that Vaquer retained both titles.
Were you?
I mean,
come on. There's no way.
Fallon Henley could have beaten her.
First of all, Ava tried to talk Stephanie Vaquer out of this match. She was beaten up pretty badly from Fatal Influence. Stephanie Vaquer was not having it. There's no way that they would have had her just randomly lose one of the titles.
I mean, that's the thing. She
stand and deliver soon.
She was beaten up already. You could have had Fatal Attraction do something. Yeah, Fatal Influence get involved somehow and cost her the championship.
Well, I thought this match was pretty good. I liked the selling of that beatdown from Stephanie Vaquer, but this match added another match to NXT TV with outside interference because Fatal Influence got involved. And the second time that Jasmine Nix got involved, Stephanie Vaquer sent Fallon Henley into her, knocking her off the apron. She finally hit that SVB to win the match. And then Fatal Influence attacked Stephanie Vaquer afterwards. Jordynne Grace made the save, and she teased wanting that NXT championship. And then Jada Parker showed up, gets put down by Jordynne Grace. And then they cut backstage to Ava's office, or whatever it was, a viewing area with Ava and the women's locker room. Lola Vice stood up. She was like, I want next. Kalani Jordan said she wants next. Cora Jade, Carmen Petrovich, Izzy Dame, they all tried to get a title match with Stephanie Vaquer. Ava wasn't having any of it. I'm sure she'll announce something for what the status is for Stand and Deliver for the North American Championship and the Women's Championship. I don't have a B to go there. I don't know why I said it A, but... So we'll see what it leads to. Part of me thinks we will... I don't know. I feel like it should be one-on-one for the NXT Championship at least. I don't know. See, that's the thing. When people win 2 titles and then defend both championships, it's difficult to book. In my mind, it's difficult to see how a booking with that like that goes. She could easily lose the North American Championship at Stand and Deliver and then go on to the main event or something. and retain the NXT championship, or vice versa. Where that leads to, we'll find out. That's NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. Cody Rhodes kicked off SmackDown at the O2 Arena in London with a crazy, absolutely crazy reception for him. He brought up John Cena, but he was cut off by Randy Orton, and the crowd fully sang Randy Orton's theme song. I always think that's so cool to hear when they do that. But Randy Orton spoke about Cody Rhodes when he broke into the business and how Randy Orton knows that he was frustrated, so he left in order to grow. And then he ran down the history of Cody's return to WWE and how everything business-wise has been up mostly because of Cody Rhodes. And he said that he's proud of Cody. And he brought up how he's going to take Kevin Owens out at WrestleMania. And afterwards, he still has number 15 that he wants. And Drew McIntyre came out, questioned what Randy Orton's done to even warrant a title shot. And then he said he's coming for the championship. Cody ends up attacking McIntyre. He escaped before an RKO actually happened. But it sets up a match. And later on, we actually saw Drew McIntyre pick up the victory over Randy Orton. It was a pretty even match. McIntyre poked Randy Orton in the eyes at one point. Later on in the match, Randy Orton did the same. Both were in front of the referee. Referee didn't really seem to care, which I thought was interesting. But Orton called for an RKO, and Kevin Owens showed up. When Randy turned around, he ate a Claymore. And afterwards, Kevin Owens attacked Randy Orton. Orton ends up escaping, sets up for a punt, and then Kevin Owens ran off. Even later on, Drew McIntyre went to leave SmackDown. He was interviewed by Jackie Redmond, mentioned how he called out Damian Priest. Priest's not even there. And he opens the door to leave after saying bye to Louis Capaldi. And Damian Priest shows up right then and there. And they brawl. Priest ends up chokeslamming McIntyre on a windshield of a car. Wild. He had the Street Profits pick up the victory over Pretty Deadly to retain the tag team championships. Pretty Deadly controlled the beginning of this, and the fans were absolutely loving every second of that. I liked the spot where Kit Wilson pushed Elton Prince out of the way mid-frog splash. And it allowed for, he ate the frog splash. It allowed for Elton Prince to try to pin Montez Ford, but Ford kicked out of that. That 4-man spot where they all ran at one another I thought that was crazy. That was pretty cool. And as commentary said, it was quite chaotic at times. They did make it look like Pretty Deadly could win the titles. The setup for that Doomsday blockbuster, I thought, to actually end the match was cool. I thought we were going to see DIY show up, but that wasn't the case. You had the Secret Hervis pick up the victory over Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. This was set up from a backstage segment with Zelina Vega, but it's nice to see them all wrestling. I enjoyed the match. It's been a few months since we've seen Katana Chance and Kaden Carter on television. The last time was NXT. I also will say that Sol Ruka versus Katana Chance on WWE Speed was very entertaining, so go out and watch that. But Chance and Carter hit the keg stand. Alba Fire broke the pin up. Chelsea Green got involved, which allowed Alba Fire to get back involved behind the referee's back. And Piper was able to hit that Piper driver to end the match. And then they beat them down afterwards. Zelina Vega came out to make the save, but she went for a code red on Chelsea. And the Secret Hervis jumped her and helped Chelsea Green escape. You had Braun Strowman pick up the victory over LA Knight via disqualification, so LA Knight retains the championship. I thought the match was okay. I think they did all that they could do. You had Jacob Fatu show up and attack Braun Strowman. LA Knight got into the mix. Jacob Fatu shut him down as well. Fans were absolutely loving Jacob Fatu doing all that. I think it was probably obvious, the outcome, but I didn't dislike it. Like I said, they did all they could. After that, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga pissed off at Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu yelled at them. He said when it comes to Braun Strowman, he'll be the last man standing, and he's taken that U.S. Championship to the family with or without them. We also had another teaser for who the internet can only assume is Aleister Black. We saw a figure this time. We saw a 25. So, out of the shadows, the darkness, I have to assume it's Aleister Black returning to SmackDown after WrestleMania, and I'm glad he's back if that's him. We also saw another vignette for Fenix, and we know it's actually Ray Fenix, and we know that he's going by that name, and he's showing up next week, so that's awesome. They had a very, very well done video with Naomi talking about Jade Cargill, how she replaced her, and she doesn't know how that happened with Bianca Belair, and she's done being pushed to the side. B-Fab and Mia Yim said that it was trash of Naomi to do what she did to Jade Cargill. And then you fast forward, Charlotte Flair picks up the victory over Mia Yim, but Naomi ends up beating Mia Yim and B-Fab down before the match. Jade Cargill came out and Naomi ran off. They had a tease between Jade Cargill and Charlotte during Charlotte's entrance. Because Mia Yim is a fighter, she continued the match to have the match. And it wasn't a one-sided match. But there was no way Charlotte Flair was losing that. You had Tiffany Stratton interviewed afterwards. She mentioned how if she loses at WrestleMania to Charlotte, then it's not that big of a loss. She loses to Charlotte Flair. But if Charlotte loses to her, then she loses to whatever name Charlotte called Tiffany Stratton. I thought that was a much better segment than last week. After that, you had Jimmy Uso pick up the victory over The Miz. I think the segment that set this up was hilarious when Jimmy went to swing on Miz and Miz cowered. I thought that was funny. This was another pretty even match, but I think Miz probably controlled a bit more of this. But ultimately, I think this was obviously just done to have Jimmy get a victory going into a match against Gunther. Because I don't think he's beaten Gunther, like I said before. Back on Monday Night Raw, we had CM Punk basically do what Seth Rollins did the other week, just saying that he's going to be on SmackDown. I did like that he mentioned bringing the Shield into WWE during that promo. But on SmackDown, you had the contract signing with Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. It kicked off with Roman Reigns, super over. Paul Heyman joined in on the chant. I thought that was pretty funny. But Roman Reigns was cut off by Seth Rollins. Fans obviously all singing his theme song. And Seth Rollins brought up how years ago, the Shield landed on the O2 Arena roof via helicopter, and they showed up ready to change WWE. And over the years since, he would say that they accomplished their mission. And Roman Reigns cut him off, and he goes, we died a long time ago. It's been me. I brought it to the level that WWE gets to deal with Netflix, etc., all that. And Seth Rollins was pissed off at that. He said that's the mindset, the whole reason why he needs to keep coming at Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns let CM Punk come in. That's not good. And CM Punk showed up. He thumbed through the contract looking for something, and Paul Heyman was like, it's in there. You're the main event of WrestleMania. And he started crying. He thanked the fans. Seth Rollins was pissed off, said he doesn't deserve it. And Roman Reigns was like, you shouldn't be thanking the fans. You should be thanking me. I'm the reason why you're in the main event of WrestleMania. So CM Punk got down on one knee, sarcastically thanked Roman Reigns. And he ended SmackDown by saying, oh, and that's not the favor. Which I think they did a good job there alluding to it maybe being the favor. But forget everything I said earlier with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky deserving that main event spot because, well, it's not the main event anymore. So that's SmackDown or ever. It was never going to be the main event, only in my head. I truly think that match deserves it over this match, but whatever. That's SmackDown. I'm going to take a quick little break, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
This is Austin Theory, and you're listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out episode 738. Moving back to AEW Collision from last week, it kicked off with Daniel Garcia defending the TNT Championship versus Adam Cole. It went to a time limit draw, which I should have figured that they would do that. But this match had such a slow start to it, to the point where I would have done anything in my power if I was in that company to not have this follow that NCAA game. If you're trying to draw people in from that basketball stuff, how is this a good start? When you tune in, you see the crowd just kind of silent. This match, super slow. It eventually picks up. It slows back down. It picks back up. It slows back down. It was a very underwhelming match for me. Adam Cole hit 3 Panama Sunrises, including one on the apron. Garcia is still somehow up and moving. At the very last minute, Adam Cole sets up for that last shot. The bell rang. If I was Adam Cole, I kind of would have probably still continued the move instead of stopped in my tracks when the bell rang. I feel like that was momentum. After that, you had Hook pick up the victory over Max Caster. Under a minute. Like I said the other week, I want to see where this is going with Max Caster. Where it's leading to. We haven't seen Anthony Bowens in almost 3 months. On AEW Dynamite, you had Max Caster trying to talk to Top Flight. Samoa Joe and Hook were walking backstage. Samoa Joe choked Max Caster out. So where any of this is going to lead to, I can't see the end game right now. But I assume we're going to see Samoa Joe versus Max Caster at some point. You had Julia Hart pick up the victory over Queen Aminata. Serena Deeb had a binder for Queen Aminata. And instead of accepting that, Queen Aminata turned it down. And she lost maybe because of it. Who knows? But the Uranagi from Queen Aminata on the apron I thought was very nice. The Spider Superplex from Julia Hart. I'm not sure if I've ever seen her do that before. I'm not sure if I've seen anyone do that before. But I thought that was very nice. Queen Aminata missed her kick in the end and did like a perfect springboard backwards, leading to Julia being able to pin her from that. I thought we were going to see Serena Deeb show up during the match. I thought we were going to see Serena Deeb show up after the match when she didn't show up during the match. That didn't happen. You had the Don Callis family pick up the victory over Mark Briscoe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Rocky Romero. This seemed like a very random team for the Don Callis family to face, with Rocky Romero showing up, which I completely forgot that him and Mark Briscoe were in the conglomeration together. But at least all of them are signed with AEW compared to the other opponents that Lance Archer and Brian Cage have been facing. It was the loudest the fans were going on Saturday night. Knowing how loud the fans were for this and how not loud they were at the start of the show, I would have opened with this match. You already moved stuff around on the card and edited stuff. I would have opened with this. Takeshi at one point hit that Falcon Arrow on Rocky Romero to pick up the victory. But overall, it's just like, for me, that's a meaningless win. He pinned someone whose last match in AEW was almost 4 months ago. On Dynamite, you had Takeshi to pick up the victory over Mark Briscoe. Briscoe, he's got 2 wins in 2025, one on a pre-show. It's nice to see Mark Briscoe wrestle and have such a hard-fought match, but not once did I think he was winning this match, and it's, again, kind of meaningless. For Sunday, you opened with the Death Riders picking up the victory over Top Flight and AR Fox to retain the Trios Championships. I didn't even realize that the titles were going to be on the line when they first announced this match. I don't know how this was a titles match. In order for AEW to try to make any sense of why Top Flight and AR Fox were working together, they showed a clip from 2022. It's 2025. I thought that was so ridiculous, but AR Fox super over in this match. There was just no chance in hell that they were winning against the Death Riders. You had Action Andretti and Leo Rush attack them afterwards, after the Death Riders had left. That's obviously eventually leading somewhere, but this is just like the lowest and slowest build to a match. You had Bandito pick up the victory over John Morrison. He originally challenged Chris Jericho on Dynamite for this match, and John Morrison showed up, and if I'm getting it correct, I'm almost certain Morrison said that he's a bigger star than Chris Jericho, and he can't be beaten, so Bandito pivoted to him. It was kind of short, and I wish this match was longer, but it was probably John Morrison's best match on TV in maybe 4 years or so. So I really did wish this match was longer. I would like to see them wrestle again. I was entertained by what they actually packed into the match. Afterwards, Bandito demanded that Chris Jericho come out and bring his brother's mask, Gravity's mask, back down. The Learning Tree came out, and Jericho said that he can't have the mask because he wants Bandito to remember the humiliation that he felt when his sister, I believe it was, his mother was crying. And then he put Gravity's mask on, and Bandito punched Chris Jericho straight in the face. They did some cat and mouse stuff. Bandito escaped with the mask. You had Harley Cameron pick up the victory over Amina Belmont. This was a nothing match. Harley was fine in the match, but for me, this is a step back again. How do you go from wrestling for the TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné, you then go on to Deonna Purrazzo, which is a fine person to be getting a victory over, and then it's just enhancement talent. What does that do for Harley? Just gets her a win on TV? Against who? Main event saw Hologram and Commander pick up the victory over LFI. Harley Cameron stayed out to do commentary and then left mid-match, and then Harley Graham showed up. But as far as Lucha Libre action, this is exactly what you'd picture. It was a fun match. It was a great main event. The crowd was on fire for it. That Poison Rana from Commander I thought was great. I didn't get the spot with Drilistico putting Alex in a chokehold, only for Hologram to not care almost. He was still doing the dive regardless. And then Black Taurus tossed him into Drilistico. Drilistico at one point got pissed off that he was distracted by Harley Graham. And then Commander took both of them out, which he didn't have much after that. But like I said, this was a fun main event. Over on AEW Dynamite, it kicked off with Kenny Omega picking up the victory over Blake Christian. It's been just under 2 years, I think, since Blake Christian's been on AEW television. So I don't really know why this match took place. After Kenny won, Taz called it a statement victory, which I don't get. It's an empty victory. It's a meaningless win. Who is Blake Christian on AEW TV? It's not equivalent to Kenny Omega facing Ricochet. It's not even equivalent to Speedball at this point. Speedball's been on TV. Afterwards, Kenny cut a promo. Speedball came out, told him that he's not going to be holding back at Dynasty. Then Ricochet, very much so, probably a pre-taped interview, or a promo, I should say, announced that he's not there because it's his wedding. And I couldn't hear most of this audio. It was muffled for me. I assume he said he's going to beat both of them. And that was the end of that segment. You had MJF come out. He called MVP out and basically said that he'd like to be in the business of hurting people. And he reached out to shake hands with MVP, and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin showed up. And it looked like Bobby Lashley was going in for a handshake to MJF. And instead he asked for the card back and ripped it up. And I popped big time for that. I thought that was hilarious. But I think for me to care about MJF in 2025, the only way I'm interested is if he actually does join the Hurt Business. You had MVP cooling things down between MJF and Lashley. And then after that happened, MJF left. The Learning Tree came out, challenged them for the tag team titles. MVP absolutely cooked Big Bill at least 3 times. Big Bill would say something, MVP would hit him back like that. That was fantastic. I don't even know if that was planned or anything, but that was like bam, roasted city. You had MVP tell them, like, if you want the titles, then you're going to have to at least win a match. And then we'll talk. Later on, you had Top Flight pick up the victory over Alex Finley and Devo Knight. This was a nothing match. I think this was just done so they would have a victory going into a match against the Learning Tree. And it's annoying. We've seen that so many times in AEW. And then it just leads to Top Flight probably disappearing until they face Action Andretti and Leo Rush. You had Kyle Fletcher pick up the victory over Brody King. When Fletcher went to the outside of the ring, the first few times I think it was, Brody King didn't go. And I like that. I hate when the matches go outside of the ring for no reason. The third time he finally went out there, Kyle Fletcher got the better of him. He did hit a Death Valley driver on the apron at one point. They did a lot more in this match. Mark Davis ended up showing up to save Kyle Fletcher from losing the match. And not long after that, Fletcher hits that brainbuster on the turnbuckle, picks up that victory. That leads into a brawl. They continue attacking Brody King. And Powerhouse Hobbs showed up to make the save. That leads into their match. Hobbs picked up the victory over Mark Davis. For me, this was a nothing match. The biggest thing from this was Von Wagner was security. He's been off TV for a few years now. Maybe 2 years. Maybe 1.5 years. And then he showed up as enhancement talent, I guess, for AEW. I liked Von Wagner. Maybe he'll sign with AEW. Who knows? Yeah, he can go the Hank Walker route and be security and then turn into a wrestler. You had a sit-down interview with Rated FTR. This, for me, again, like the Ricochet thing, was all muffled. They want the Trios Championships. I think that's goofy, given that Edge failed 2 times to take the AEW Championship from Mox. I don't think they're going to beat the Death Riders for those titles. It feels like it can lead to a bigger split. You had Swerve come out. He called Jon Moxley out. Only Jon Moxley. Swerve said everything Jon Moxley has been saying that he is now what Swerve is. You had Claudio show up from behind. Prince Nana no-sold it. He couldn't care. He couldn't bat an eye that Claudio was standing right behind him. Jon Moxley questioned who Swerve really is and said that he's going to have to really question how far he's willing to go, especially in a match against Jon Moxley. This segment, they went on, for me, it was a long time. Some of it was good. Some of it was just you could cut this. Marina Shafir showed up, and Willow Nightingale showed up almost instantly with a pipe. I don't care about Jon Moxley versus Swerve for the championship. I don't care for Swerve as champion right now. If you wanted to have me hooked, you would have turned Prince Nana against Swerve. You would have had Ricochet in this match instead. Not the case. I guess that they wouldn't do heel and heel. I guess that makes sense, pro wrestling wise. But it sets up a mixed tag match between Willow and Swerve, as well as Marina Shafir and Jon Moxley. I think that's next week. We'll see. The main event saw Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford pick up the victory over Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. Earlier, Thunder Rosa said something like the last time she and Toni Storm were together, Toni Storm tried to wipe her face paint off. So she hasn't forgotten that. She also brought up how she never lost the women's championship and how she wants that women's championship. They worked quite well as a team. It was super chaotic at times. It started off like a normal tag team match. Then you get to towards the end of the match, it was just commentary lost track of who was legal. I lost track of who was legal. I did think that Penelope Ford was going to be eating the pin here. But Megan Bayne pinned the champion. I feel like that match is already set up for Dynasty, so it just makes it seem like Megan Bayne is not walking out as champion. So we'll see what happens with that. That's AEW Dynamite. Hey, Brandon, Got any shout-outs?
Hello there, it's Randy Newman, and you're listening to Brandon's Shoutouts, because you got some shoutouts from Brandon.
The first shout-out goes to The Killer's Game. Did you see this movie or no? You did probably not, right?
You know the answer.
Batista stars in this film as a hitman who gets diagnosed with a terminal illness, so he ends up taking out a hit on himself, and then gets a call and finds out that the diagnosis was goddamn wrong, and now has to go through a group of people, a group of hitmen, who were out to take him out. What a plot to a movie. And I pleasantly enjoyed this film. You had Drew McIntyre playing one of the hitmen. I completely forgot he was in this movie. The critics did not seem to enjoy this film like I did. But it had action, it had comedy, it had romance, which is literally all I could ask for from a movie like that. You had Pom Klementif, who was Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy, reunite with Batista for this movie. She played a heel. Terry Crews was in this. Ben Kingsley was in this. It's streaming on Stars. If you have Stars, I don't know who in 2025 has Stars, but I have Stars, and I enjoy this movie. So check out The Killer's Game on that.
All right, good. I'll check it out if it's on Stars.
You have Stars?
Yeah.
In what world?
I don't know this one.
My next shout out is not a shout out. It's an anti shout out. I thought long and hard about it. I have to give an anti shout out to Wicked. I watched it this weekend. It's on Peacock now, and I wasn't really impressed. I thought the movie was mid. And I know I'm in the minority there for that, but for how high of praise that this got, I was so disappointed with this. Obviously, everybody in the film can sing, but I think, I don't know, part of me thinks it would have been better had it not been a musical.
That's the thing. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I know the play, and I know for a fact I'm not going to. The movie, I'm not going to. It's really, you're watching the movie for
it's
the
a musical,
music.
by the way, not a play.
Yeah, but you're watching it for the music, not for the everything else.
Yeah, but I had no clue going into this. You know who's heel and who's face?
Yeah, I've seen the play.
You saw the musical live?
Yeah, I've seen it twice.
What? Who goes to see? I mean, not who. I've seen many people who've gone to see it at least like 30 times, which is crazy to me. God bless
30?
you for being able to find it. Yeah, I've seen people talk on TikTok saying, this is my 30th time seeing Wicked on Broadway.
That's what we call a problem.
No, you went and saw it twice. Don't say it's a problem. I've seen
not
Billy Joel.
Twice.
I've seen Billy Joel.
Many times. I saw it in 2 different places, though. I saw it in upstate New York and one on Broadway.
I don't know if that necessarily matters, though.
It actually does matter.
Because I'm not going to call anybody crazy for seeing something that they really like and enjoy multiple times.
I'm going to say it is crazy.
Well, what about me seeing Billy Joel or Taylor Swift as many times as I have?
I plead the 5th. Just don't see it 90 times. You're okay.
No, I would 100% go to see Billy Joel 90 times. I would see Taylor Swift 100,000 times if I could. But I've seen The Wizard of Oz, so I thought I knew who was heel and who was face based on that. But with this story, I was blown away with who was heel and who was face.
Yeah, they swerve you.
Big time. And now there's a part 2 coming out. I don't know when that part 2 comes out, but obviously I'll have to watch it. Not going to just leave it hanging. Maybe it'll get another anti-shout out. But
yeah, I'll probably, I'm okay with, I haven't seen the movie. I'll probably watch it at some point, but it's really just, I don't know. Maybe I won't see it. I know the music already.
How? But I don't understand. I feel like I could, at this point, just spoil it. It's been out there enough.
What are you going to spoil? Everybody knows the musical already.
No, not everybody knows the freaking musical, because I didn't know that Glinda, the good witch of the goddamn South, was a heel. Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know
She's
that
the heel.
The wicked witch of the West was a babyface. Why would I know any of that? How would anybody know that?
Yeah. What what they did to Figaro.
I don't know who Figaro is. Who's Figaro?
Was
that the
love
teacher?
interest.
The love interest?
Yeah.
What did they do to Figaro? I think that might be in part 2.
Oh, spoiler.
But like the Wizard of Oz himself, in Wizard of Oz, the movie, he's portraying a heel, but in reality, he's a baby face.
Yeah.
In this movie, he's a heel. How does that? I don't see how that adds up. At what point does he turn face? And at what point is that Wicked Witch of the West turning wicked?
I mean, is she actually wicked, though?
I mean, I don't know. That's true,
Yeah.
because all we know from Wizard of Oz is the house lands on her, she dies, Glinda just magically appears. She could have thrown the house on her. She could have caused Dorothy and, what was it, a tornado?
Yeah, it was a tornado, a twister.
Did the good witch make that happen?
Maybe. You know, maybe she did it and she ended up reaping the benefits of getting the slippers. You know, she was able to retain control of of everybody.
She's sick.
Not as sick as seeing it over 90 times, though.
I don't know. If you could afford it, go out and do it. If you love it, do it. So, my next shout out goes to George Foreman, who passed away last week at the age of 76. He was a legendary boxer, an Olympic gold medalist. In 1997, he became the oldest boxing champion at the age of 48. And although he had that whole boxing career, his name was always around in so many people's houses. I saw a TikTok, this chick did not know that George Foreman was a boxer. But his name was in so many households because of that George Foreman grill. Which, as we learned on Hogan Knows Best, was almost the Hulk Hogan grill, but Hogan didn't respond in time and got a blender instead. And it was the George Foreman
do
grill.
we know that to be a fact, though?
I think that actually is a fact.
Or, like, is it a fact or is it a Hogan fact?
No, I think it actually is a real fact that it was offered to Hulk Hogan. He passed or something, or just didn't respond in time. They went with George Foreman. Maybe that part is the lie. I don't know. But he got a blender that
Who knows?
that really didn't do anything compared to the.
All I know is I got a
grill.
Foreman grill.
Yeah, I think I have at least 2 in this house,
Yeah.
which they sold over 100 million of those grills. So that's just an insane number. But George Foreman appeared as himself on a few TV shows. I know one of his.
He had his own TV show.
What was the show?
I think it was like The Foremans or something. Yeah, I think George Foreman had his own legit
A
TV show
reality
with
TV
his family.
show?
or
I didn't.
his, like...
I don't think I realized. I
No,
don't
no,
remember.
not reality. Not reality. It was like sitcom, I think.
What? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. It was like a comedy.
But I was going to say one of my favorite acting jobs of his was as George Foreman in King of the Hill. That was, I thought, a really funny thing because obviously he's telling the George Foreman grill, Hank Hill, all about propane. So he's not having any of that in his store. So I thought that was funny. But he also, in recent years, had a reality TV show with himself, William Shatner, Henry Winkler, and Terry Bradshaw. It was called Better Late Than Never, which I really wish that they did more seasons of because I thought it was so, first of all, it was very out there, but it was just really funny to see the 4 of them interact together.
All right, here, they called it George.
And it was, who else was in it?
It was from 1993 to 1994.
Oh, I guess
Told
maybe
you.
that's why I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But who else was in that? Anybody that we know or no?
Oh, not to me.
Cheryl Lee.
Let's see. She looks familiar.
She's
Shirley
in,
Ralph.
Yeah, she's on Abbott Elementary, and she was in
Yeah.
Princess and the Frog.
That's why she looks familiar.
Look at that. Yeah, so I'm very surprised that they never did anything. George Foreman ever did anything with WWE.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he never did anything with WWE. He was such a character.
He did some stuff with Hulk Hogan back when Hogan was in WCW, but it was nothing. I don't think it was anything on screen. I think they did stuff for like a boxing magazine. When he was preparing to fight Muhammad Ali, I know Rocky Johnson was one of his sparring partners, which I always think is so cool that Rocky Johnson sparred with all these famous boxers back in the day. I'm just surprised that they never got to do anything together in WWE. George Foreman and WWE, that being. Even a WrestleMania appearance.
Yeah.
But those are my shout-outs. Now it's time for
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. On WWE's Greatest Moments, they did a celebrities list from the 80s. And I feel like maybe because it was mainly WWE celebrities, I wasn't expecting them to include Andy Kaufman. But they had him on the list at number 3. And I think that's awesome to see him included on a list like that and hear them actually go and talk about it briefly. You had I feel like number 1 and 2 you can guess. Mm-hmm. Number 2 was Mr. T. Cyndi Lauper was number 1.
There you go.
Have any other mark out moments?
It's opening day, you know. Baseball season has started off, so marked out for the start of baseball season. The Mets kicking off the season with a 3-1 loss to the Astros.
Did you see MJF's pitch?
Yeah, I saw it.
Is that down the plate? What's the down the middle? What do they call it?
I don't know. The camera angle I saw, they kind of cut away from it.
It seems like it was too low, no? I don't know.
Nah.
I would never, if I was a celebrity, I would never want to do that. Because I know it would be like a 50 cent sort of thing. There's not a chance in hell would I want to be in front of a stadium full of people and throw a ball anywhere. At that range, no way.
I believe in you.
I mean, I could throw a ball, but you get on the pitcher's mound or wherever, he was up ahead of, I guess they stand closer.
Mm-hmm.
I can't throw the heat like that.
I don't think so.
No, I think, pretty sure he was behind, in front of the plate.
Oh, maybe he was.
I pitched at Shea Stadium.
There you go.
I'll live with that.
You still haven't given me any dirt from there.
I replayed, or started to, my second replay of My Rise in 2K25, and most of the story is the same. There are some differences, and I really appreciated everything with R-Truth and Cody Rhodes, because I thought I was literally laughing out loud while playing through that story. So I really appreciate that. I hope that I feel like it was successful enough that they would bring this back for next year. I do still hate the fact that I have to play through it at least 2 more times to get other items. I wish I could just like skip through everything that's not necessary and get to just like the meat and potato points where I need to pick and choose.
Oh man, now I'm hungry.
I don't need to sit there and watch Triple H introduce the draft all over again.
Yeah, there should be a skip button.
Some things there are, items like that, you can't. So you're stuck there watching Triple H introduce the draft. But my last mark out moment, I will say, they officially announced that the Natural Disasters are going into the Hall of Fame this year. I think it's definitely a long time coming for Typhoon and Earthquake. I hope to see them in WWE 2K26. I would like to see Golga, the Shark, Tugboat, Shockmaster all have Persona cards. I think that would be cool.
Yeah,
but I know
I'm excited. I'm very happy that the Natural Disasters are going into the Hall of Fame. That's definitely a mark out for me. I mean, I remember seeing them at my very first wrestling event, and it was incredible. They were so much fun to see. They would get into the ring and then would jump up and down, and the Money Inc. would just end up totally selling and fall to the ground. The referee would fall to the ground. It was so much fun.
Natural Disasters weren't around a long time as a tag team, but I think they made a huge impact on plenty of people. So I'm glad to see that they're getting inducted to the Hall of Fame.
And then also Kamala signing to a Legends deal.
Yeah. Which, again, I think
and who knows, maybe
cool.
Crush.
Yeah, Crush, I believe, also signed, which I really hope leads to Brian Clark signing Adam Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that will, but I think that would be cool. But those are the Mark Out moments of the week. That was episode 738. Thank you so much for tuning in. You could follow us on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on all platforms. Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney85. David PTDPT on all platforms. Facebook.com/MarkinOut. YouTube and Instagram are MarkinOut11. ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkinOut. At MarkinOut on TikTok. You could rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Like I said before, you can listen. MarkinOut.com, you can listen. And we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Have a fantastic week.